But yeah, that was Beastie Boys Intergalactic off the album Hello Nasty. And this song like means so much to me. This is the track that turned me into a Beastie Boys fan. Like without this track, I wouldn't have gone down the rabbit hole because, you know, I knew of the Beastie Boys. It's impossible in our generation to have not heard of Sabotage.
Yes.
Right? But when I was getting into hip hop and falling in love with hip hop, that was in my high school years in England, around 14. Okay? And you know, when you're a teenager, that doesn't happen as much now, but when you're a teenager back then, you get into a genre, you get stupidly like cliquey about the genre or about the content.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was listening to NWA, Wu-Tang Clan, all this hard, raw gangster rap. And then, you know, someone passes me the Beastie Boys' first album, and I'm like, fight for your right to party. The fuck this.
Yeah.
And then Sabotage came out around discovered that around the same time where I was transitioning into grunge, and I was like, okay, but I wasn't, you know, I didn't really know, like, what Beastie Boys were. You know, their history. So then this album comes out, Intergalactic comes out, and first off, hearing the song, I'm like, wow. Then I see the video.
Yeah. Now, the video is insane.
And like coming off, because when Sabotage, the video for Sabotage is brilliant. You know, Spike Jones. But without knowing the band, I thought it's just a one-off, right? Like, they can't be that silly all the time.
Yeah.
Then you watch this and it's like, these guys are fucking around and having a good time doing it. So from this album, and I loved the album, right? And then that's when I got to see my first ever proper concert was the Beastie Boys promoting this album, the In the Round tour where the stage was rotating.
Oh, wow.
At Wembley Arena. And because I was like the go-to chaperone for a friend of mine who was younger than me, a Malaysian girl named Maya. So she would want to go to concerts and I'd be like the big brother that follows. And this was the first one. Because I was with her, for some reason, we got put into the, into the pit right in front of the stage. That's reserved for people that might get injured, you know, like VIPs and people with disabilities.
Right.
So I'm like there. I was expecting to be in the stands and I'm just there right in front of the Beastie Boys. It's a 2.5 hour concert because they have that much material. And that concert blew my fucking mind.
Wow.
Like, very few bands have managed to match how incredible that concert was in Wembley Arena. And I think the only one that did, surprisingly, was Limp Bizkit.
Oh, shit.
Which I wasn't expecting. Because in Wembley, I'd seen Rage, I'd seen Korn, and a lot of bands that come to England, you know, it's part of the European tour, and it always feels like it's not as much effort as when they're playing in America where they know they're getting money.
Yeah.
You know, like Korn came with that tour where they have all the fans in cages.
Yep.
All the cages in the background is like 3 people. I was like, what the fuck is this cheap shit?
Yeah.
You know?
It's the touring company.
Right?
Yeah.
But Beastie Boys were like full on. You know, like from rapping with Mixmaster Mike and then they'll pull out the double bass and the instruments, start playing the jazzy stuff, then put that down, pick up the electric guitars and play that, you know, punk stuff and then go back to rap again. You're like, holy shit. And Limp Bizkit, I was not expecting them to bring all the pyro and the dancing girls from Nookie.
Oh, right.
So, who only come on for Nookie and that, not Nookie, sorry, like in Rollin'. Yeah. So just to do the Rollin' dance and then they disappear. So yeah, like, surprisingly, the only band that's managed to match that concert experience was Limp Bizkit. And I fell in love with the Beastie Boys. Like, I had... You know you're a fan when you pay stupid amounts for the obscure fucking records?
Yes.
Where,
Yes.
and you know how much more those records are. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is the Japanese import. It's only 7 tracks.
Yeah.
You know, and it's 25 pounds. I'm like, it's mine!
Yep.
That's how much I was into them. Like, they were a huge influence to me.
I mean, I've always liked them, but I never did like a deep dive. You know what I mean? So like, I mean, I know all of their big songs, and I've never seen them perform live. But I've always, I mean, it's impossible to not, at the very least, admire them.
Yes.
You know, and they are, you know, like you say, like if it's for our generation, it's impossible to not be aware of them.
Yeah.
And to not be aware of at least some of their songs. So I mean, like I've always enjoyed their music, and I've always liked them. I'm kind of I'm kind of weird when it comes to like calling myself a fan. Like I don't think you should call yourself a fan of something unless you know some shit about them. I always get like really pissed off. You're like, it's the same thing like if you don't skate but you wear Vision streetwear. It's the same. It's the same fucking thing. So I would never wear a Beastie Boys t-shirt because if anybody quizzed me on them, I probably wouldn't know the answer. But at the same time, I like Beastie Boys. Like if I hear like if Intergalactic comes on, I'm fucking moving.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? But no, I mean like I'm glad you played this because I love this song and listening to you talk about them makes me want to go back and rediscover them a little bit.
Because it is like one of those things, especially when you know like the background where they're coming from with it. Because after the second album, Paul's Boutique, which is also a brilliant album, produced by the Dust Brothers, who did the Fight Club soundtrack.
Yep.
And surprisingly, Hanson's album, which I was like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, all right.
But after that, because the sales on that were bad.
Which one?
Paul's Boutique.
Paul's Boutique, okay.
So they set up their own label and they made their own studio. And that's when things really kicked off.
Right.
So it's all under their control, right? So it was, they recorded all this stuff by themselves from Check Your Head onwards. So Ill Communication, Hello Nasty, all of it is just done by themselves. Videos they do themselves. They even have their own production company, right? Oscilloscope, which has put out some pretty interesting documentaries and stuff. And like, what I love is that they don't stick to one genre. They play whatever the fuck they like.
Yeah.
And it still sounds like them. Because I remember when I was watching this video in my uncle's house in Malaysia. And my cousin, he's pretty known in the like grindcore scene here in Malaysia. Like his band Negation is the type of band where like one track is 43 seconds. You know what I mean? And he's just yelling his ass off. And to him, he was like watching the videos like, Beastie Boys? I thought they were a punk band. So for some people they're one thing, for some people they're another, but the type of stuff they've done, like they had, and I love how they will stick to their fucking backstories. So all of their music videos are directed by a Nathaniel Hornblower, which is MCA in some weird like German traditional outfit and a beard, who will never break character if he's being interviewed.
Right.
And they'll have those backstories. So one of their backstories is Mike D. They claim that Mike D hit his head one time, and when he came to, he was convinced he was Country Mike, a country singer. So in order to placate him, they recorded his country songs, and so there's an album like Country Mike, and it's just a country album, and it's literally the Beastie Boys doing country, and it's fucking weird.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, not many people have, like, unless you're a really deep fan of Beastie Boys, which you know some of the weird shit that they were just like, fuck it, let's make a country album. And they fucking do.
But I love it when artists do shit like that.
Right?
It's I mean, at the same time, you kind of want, I won't say that you want more of the same, but you kind of want them to go back to things that you know that they're good at.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I really like it when artists just do a left turn and just do something entirely different. Because it just kind of shows it's like, I'm figuring shit out. I'm growing. I'm an artist.
Yeah.
I'm an artist. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as being like a filmmaker or a storyteller. You can't tell the same story twice.
Yeah.
Although sometimes we do. But it's the same sort of thing. It's like you want to play in a different sandbox. You want to play in a different genre. You want to have fun. That's one of the things. Like I'm a big John Mayer fan. That's one of the things I like about John Mayer is that all of his albums, not all of them, but for the most part, every time he does a different album, you can tell that he's trying something different.
Yeah.
It's like going from pop to blues to kind of like folk, country, like that kind of stuff. But so it's and knowing that they did like a fucking country album, and that they do like different kinds of shit. Like I didn't know that. So
they got like a bossa nova EP.
I did not know that. That's why I don't have a Beastie Boys T-shirt.
All kinds of weird shit. And the thing that I really appreciate about the Beastie Boys is that they helped me to understand like something that is kind of important for us in the creative field, which is your voice is always going to be strong if you have voice.
Yeah.
No matter what the fuck you do.
Yeah.
When they do a country album, it doesn't sound like a Johnny Cash album. It doesn't sound like a Hank Williams album. It sounds like the Beastie Boys
doing country. Yeah.
That's just what it sounds like. So it's like, like coming from that late 90s kind of like, no, I only listen to this.
Yeah.
You know, to like, you know what, you can listen to other shit. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
You know, so that was like, I'll always be grateful to them. R.I.P. MCA. Fucking love the Beastie Boys. Love them!
That was great.
So what do you got next, sir?
Next, we are moving on to local stuff, stuff from Malaysia. So I'm here with some wings from the album Theory Domino, and we're playing Sejati.